So Meresh said the design at the page Shinchav Beis. Din Bisomim Havdala by Tesip. In Higa Chachamim Lavorim Bisomim B'chol Motzei Shabbos. The Chachamim made the minig that every Motzei Shabbos you smell the Bisomim. The L'hoshav es Nefesh, to return the Nefesh. Shehid the Eves L'tzis Shabbos, and the Neshama is hurt from the going out of Shabbos. Why? B'shvil HaNeshama Had Yisera Sheholcha, because the Yid has an extra Neshama, now the Neshama left. Levikach Miyashvim Mesamchim Oisa, they calm it down and they make it happy. Bereich Tov, with a good reich. No. The Simeresh Tzadik Zayin. Simeresh Tzadik Zayin. I must have said a mistake. Sorry. The Simeresh Tzadik Zayin. The page is Shinchav Beis. Simeresh Tzadik Zayin. Dim Bisomim Havdala. Hinuga Chacham L'cham Meiravinik. Lord, Yehu Bisomim Chomotzei Shabbos and smell Bisomim every Motzei Shabbos. Kli L'hoshav Hashem Nefesh, to return the Nefesh. Shid the Eves that is hurt L'tzias Shabbos. I don't know if it's a hurt. Well, how would you translate the Eves L'tzias Shabbos? Is concerned, is Doy Eves. Doyev.
Blue. Like
it has the blues, you know. The person has like
the blues.
Yeah. She the Eves L'tzias Shabbos b'shil HaNeshama. Why? B'shil HaNeshama Yisera Sheholcha, because I had a Neshama Yisera. Now it left. Lavikach Miyashvim Mesamchim Oisa Bereich Tov. They calm down the person with Reich Tov. Matter more if he has some, he's obligated to smell. If he doesn't have some, he doesn't have to run after it. Mitzvahs, just like a person has to run after mitzvahs. So a person has to run after every mitzvah. If he doesn't have money, it's not an excuse, up to extent, but he has to go.
Why doesn't he just go to some branch and break it off and smell it? Most grasses and shrubs, trees, they smell good.
Yeah, I guess, you know, we Baruch Hashem are fortunate. I guess when you live, I guess in the middle of the winter, in
Krakow, in the ghetto,
yeah, exactly.
There's no greenery.
Exactly.
They didn't let the behemoths graze too far. All the goats and whatever they had ate it all up.
You can't keep some had this.
They weren't allowed to have land.
Yeah, it's fair.
This is a riot.
Yeah. So they say that's it. The Chazal didn't mean it. Only to return the nefesh. We'll see later a whole lumdus if Boidim of Samim is a bichs, a mitzvah, a bichs, Alter Rebbe is more on the side that it's bichs and enin. Misha Misana b'Shabbos, a person who is fasting Shabbos. Sarach levarach l'b'sam mitzvah Shabbos has to make a bracha l'b'sam matzah Shabbos. Kim Shabbos Hanashama Yisera b'leil Shabbos. Ein elechas at matzah Shabbos because he had a Neshama Yisera on the night of Shabbos. Now it stays with him until matzah Shabbos. So
why would I think that?
Why would I think that? It's a good question. I'd say like this, because yesterday we saw that Rashi is a little different than the other Rishonim. The other Rishonim say that Neshama Yisera means a menuchas nefesh, but the Rashi says is the nefesh is psuche, mesave, has a better appetite to eat. So if you hold that it's a better appetite to eat, so if I didn't eat, so like it's not shaykh, a better appetite, I didn't eat anything, I was fasting. Kumash malon, but still.
But he says over here, Miyashim and Musamchim. Nothing about the...
Right, I understand. But for it,
I would think he's even I would think that he needs it even more.
Why? If you say like
because
Rashi...
he even more needs to be Misamech himself.
Why? If you say like Rashi, that the whole Chiddush of Shabbos is that a person has Geshmak in eating, but he was fasting. So you could say, what do you mean he had a Geshmak in eating, but he was fasting? So, Havi Amina, the answer is not true. Because at the end of the day, he did have the matzav of the good feeling of Shabbos, even if it was didn't eat, but he had the tranquility of Shabbos. I'm answering your question. You're saying, well, what's a Havi Amina? What would I even think? So I'm saying maybe that's a Havi Amina.
Because he didn't have the full...
Yeah.
He didn't have the full menu of Shabbos.
Right.
But it's interesting because we said that's according to Rashi, but
Right.
Yom Tov we mentioned Achila V'Shtiya, right? Ain't Simcha B'Basar Yain.
Yain.
It's no Indian really of Simcha Achila and Shabbos.
There is Achila, but not Basar and Yain. Not
Right.
Basar and Yain.
But the Basar Yain is out to be Mesameach Adam,
Right. Lepoil, that's what we right. Lepoil, that's what we like.
which is why if you wanted to be fast, if that would give you Einik Shabbos, you would
Right.
be allowed to fast, but
Right.
you wouldn't be allowed to do it on Yom Tov.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. V'chol yom ha'gibur m'Shabbos is bar b'sim tov resh Havdala. Okay. Siv Gimel. Kol ha'psalm shel bar b'sim resh Zem Shem bar Chalaim birchas hareich memach m'sis harev be oya v'dezora. There is Bisomim you're not allowed to smell because there's an isur of erva, which is like the Gemara said.
Like Cheshik.
Right. Like Gemara says that the Daf Samach Gimel on Shabbos that the Bnei Yushalayim used to put like
Perfume.
to tease the Bachuri Yisrael, and that was a terrible. That's why they got punished. Terrible punishment. So the Rishonim take from that Gemara that's a isur to smell b'samim the erva.
The Kavanah.
Right. Yeah. Not b'kavanah. The Chofetz Chaim adds an interesting thing. He says that this is the Rishonim that talk about that is talking about tzlucha shel plaiton, to have that the women those days used to carry like a chain, a pendant with a little box of Bisomim. But today women just take the
Zilus,
thing.
that's like an Indian Zilus.
Right. So for your own wife, versteht sich you're allowed to. Adraba. But for erva, it's also like the kavana to go smell it. But bezman hazeh anyway, it's not so relevant. The halacha because no woman walks around with a pendant with a psalm. They take a thing and they spray it, and then they walk out to the street. And when they walk out, that's a reich she'en l'ikr.
Unless they're from Guatemala or whoever, who knows?
Right, it could be exactly.
Well, what's the difference?
Albania.
It's an issue of causing men to have Yehur. It makes no difference if it's a pendant or if it's a spray.
I hear.
It's a
Okay,
good question.
it's a good discussion. This zilbas svara, like it says with Rochav, right? V'yoyda makira. The bottom line is, if it's going to be cause a person to have a isur, that okay.
I think maybe the answer to what he's saying is that the perfume is not. It's like the women. They'll dress up even if there's just women there, and they'll put on perfume even if just women are going to like a certain thing. It's just a lady thing to do.
Right.
Hey, but when they're going down,
Yeah, but they're not doing it for that kavan.
Who cares about
They're
their
huru.
cover?
They're not doing it for her huru.
No, who cares about their cover? Now, if what they're doing is likely to cause them a shoal, so who cares what their cover?
So you're probably right. You're probably right, Abazai. Oh yeah,
But
but
anyway, if there's no mamoshes, if a woman just sprays it on her hand,
So what?
one second. If she just sprays it on her hand, on her arm, you wouldn't be able to make a bracha on that anyway, would you?
you couldn't make a
You
bracha.
take your wife's arm and say Bori B'dim.
No,
You couldn't do that,
make a
right?
bracha.
No, I'm saying even if there was no bad kavanah when they put it on,
Right.
they did it stam.
Right.
You couldn't
No,
do
you
it.
could never make a
Why?
bracha. It's a reich she'en l'ikr.
There's no mamoshes.
There's no amoshes to it. You'd have to be in the bedroom or in the dining room, the living room, wherever she's spraying it on, in order to make the bracha.
The mitzias is though if there is mamoshes, otherwise it wouldn't smell.
Yeah, but it's too small to. Reich she'en l'ikr, there's no such thing. Obviously, there is something there, but it's too small to say that to quantify it as mamoshes. No, I'm
That's why
saying
the woman who has that locket, there's some mamoshes.
right, the mamoshes. No, but the Emma says you're probably right. What he means in the Mishnah Berurah is that this question of yemek and bracha and ambak bracha is only relevant when you have a bottle that's
With something in
with
it.
something in it. Otherwise, it's not relevant the question if you can make a bracha because anyway it's a reich she'en l'ikr. But you're right, probably zilbo satayma. That's the logic here is that it's also to smell because a person could come to Aved. And we see Chazal say that the Bnei Yisrael were terribly punished for it. And okay, so that's you're right. It's also what the Chofetz Chaim means to say is that this shail about bracha and bracha is only relevant when you have actual Bisomim. But you're probably right. It's all the smart is it's also. Continue. Oya v'dazora. you can never make a bracha some of the zara. If it's a smell that's not made to use as a smell, for example, smell that's made for beis hakise, or smell that's made to take away a bad smell. If he smells at Motzei Shabbos, ben shaberich, ben shaloi berich, I don't care if he made a bracha or not. Lo yotze is not yotze. He has to make again a bracha another Bisomim. If he has, and make another time a bracha. It's interesting. The Taz asks on this. He says the whole thing that we smell is because the nefesh has tsar. So if he smelled Bisomim of Isur, who cares? But the it calms him down. It takes the cures the tsar.
It says it's like a bracha above Avera. It's for above Avera.
Well, okay, so you're answering already. The El Yerabba answers sort of what you're answering. So the El Yerabba says, what do you mean? The din Shulchan Aruch in Simon Reish Havdala and Choshemish, but the person who sells Advar Isur, if he sells Chaz v'Shalom Treifa meat, right? So even if the customers have paid for it and ate it up already, and now we catch that this butcher sold Treifa meat, he has to return the money. He has to return the money.
If they don't break his arms.
You have to return to the last penny. He has to return the money. So why? So the Smeh says because no one had any hanoah from it. They only had tsar. So they got nothing for it because everyone said, "Okay, listen, at least they had something." So they didn't. He tricked them. So they thought the coach. They should pay. He should say kosher meat is $10 a pound. Treif is $5 a pound. So now it turns out it's treif. So he should give them back $5. No, the answer is a yid has tsar from eating treif, so they gain nothing from it. That's what the Smeh answers. The Pri Megadim says,
unless let's say the guy was going to eat treif anyway.
Right. Okay, that's different.
Like a guy that's traditional, or his father-in-law was coming over.
Right.
So for his father-in-law, he bought kosher meat.
Or a goy, for example.
Not for his father-in-law.
Or better, you could say a goy. A goy who thinks that this is better quality, right? And now it found out that the Rachmon Litzlan, the butcher,
was not halal.
Was So now the goy would take him say to Yiddish Bezdin, right? You're not allowed to lie. Okay, so you're allowed to say to a goy sometime, you give the Jew, but you're not allowed to cheat. A Bezdin is not allowed to cheat a goy, right? So you're gonna have to din Torah. That's true, right? So we're going to tell the Yid, I would assume we would tell the butcher that he's chayiv to pay him back, but not the full, say he paid $10 a pound. We'd say, okay, you have to pay him back $5 per pound, because today is $5.
We had we had the prince come in every few years.
Who?
Every few months. The prince in one of the countries. And he wants halal meat, he buys from us.
From where?
In Manhattan, he worked in a butcher shop.
For the rich and famous, yeah, it does. And they pay. It's a $15,000 account every time he buys.
It's
crazy.
Much money?
But they want halal meat. But even if this butcher, it's not even halal meat.
It's not really halal. But it was good for them.
No, I'm saying
halal for them is kosher.
Let's say
it doesn't have to be as long as it's shefted.
Right.
They'll eat it.
Yeah. But let's say he brings
we eat ours. We don't eat theirs.
My point is, let's say he's bringing in treif meat. He's even deceiving them.
Right, you're not allowed to deceive them. It's also, it's a Shulchan Aruch, it's a Gemara. It's also to sell to a goy, even as a goy, and to sell him, to tell him it's a shchuta. He's saying about an Arab. I think I told this once. When I was learning shchita, I was going to a live chicken market. So a woman came there with a chicken, and she's waiting. So I want a shecht. I want to get experience. So I said, give me the chicken. She says, no, because she needs halal. So I said, I know how to do halal. So she gave me the chicken, and I plucked whatever, and I said, Allah Akbar. And she was over the moon. She was really excited. But really, it's a mefurish din in the brought in Shulchan Aruch and in Simla Chadosha, Simon Dalad, I think. He says that the Arabs required that you should say Allah Akbar. And it's mutter for a sheikh to do it for an Arab, because it means Allah Akbar means Kel Kabir, the big Eibishter. So it's funny that you learn an obscure din that you think it would not be relevant on Pitkin Avenue in New York. And it turns out it's very relevant. It was very, very relevant. How would I know how to do the right thing for the Arab? I learned it in Simla Chadosha, you see?
So they let you, the Schlachthaus let you do it?
No, it was a treifa. It wasn't a Jewish.
Right, I'm saying, but they let
Yeah, what do they care? They're happy because they're workers. They're not happy. It's nice of them because really, why do they need people that hang around? But so they're doing us a toiva.
They don't require the chalak to be chalak.
Right.
Right.
No.
If it's trade for something, it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
But
They just want you to go through the motions.
Right.
right. Yeah. They don't chad v'cholok. They don't check the knife.
Never knew what that
I
meant.
saw an Arab doing his halal shkita, and he had a very dull knife, and he had to go back and forth
Like a sword.
quite a few times.
It's worse than the way they normally kill them. They do it more. It's more cruel by them.
Sure. It's
What about the mikach ta'ut here?
right. So that's what the Shulchan Aruch says. If you sell to a Jew, it's
No, I'm saying if you sell to a guy even, and he wants it to be kosher.
okay. But if he ate it already, I would assume because he had some hana, so it was a mekachtos. He had you overcharged him. Nevela would have been $5 a pound. Shchut is 10. So I don't.
No, what he's saying is that by a guy, they also require for spiritual reasons that it get geschäft.
I don't
So
think
if
so.
you give them treif, they might say that I don't want. They wouldn't eat it before.
They wouldn't have eaten it. They had
Yeah.
tsar. Like, but
Yeah,
you
yeah,
say you
yeah.
had no hana, you had tsar.
Yeah, they have tzar because you didn't say Allah Akbar. Okay, but that's their tzar.
They didn't ask you to position the chicken facing Mecca.
No.
I know that
No.
when
No.
the shecht
Yeah.
Hemot Kasot, you have to have the animal facing Mecca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And the other one, and if you have two animals, one's facing Muhammad Ali.
So it could be this Arab was an Amoritz. Okay. I didn't know that. Okay. Oh, by the way, so the Nesivus has a Morid de Kavort. We spoke a few times about this Nesivus. Nesivus says, the Shulchan Aruch says it's a difference if you sold them treifa meat, which is also min HaTorah or also the Rabbanon. So Nesivus says, what's the difference? Now, there's a beautiful Meshech Chochma from Rabbi Meir Simcha, a very sweet, whole long thing in Pashas Ekev, based on this Nesivus. He says that when the Torah says something is also the Isser is on the Cheftzitz. This is most. When Chazal say something is also, it's not the Cheftzitz most. It's not abhorrent. It's just that the Eibishter says that he wants that we should listen to Chazal. So if we don't listen to Chazal, it's a chutzpah. So what's an nafkamina? Nafkamina is if a person doesn't have a b'shoigig. If he eats b'shoigig something that's tereifa min haTorah, so he has to do tshuva. But if he eats something that's tereifa derabanan, so the Nesiva says he doesn't have to do tshuva because he wasn't a chutzpah. The Chazal said don't eat it. He didn't eat it. He didn't know. So therefore he doesn't have to do tshuva for it. So the Nesiva says that's why a person that eats Issa Rabbanon, if he went to a store and it turns out there wasn't Issa Deraisa, the food was not kosher, it was Issa Rabbanon. So then if he already ate it, he can't demand his money back. So I would say this maybe the same thing is relevant here, that if he smelled already Issa Rabbanon and he did it b'shoigig, then okay, nish gefährlich. But anyway, the Alter Rebbe doesn't make any difference. The Alter Rebbe says anything that you smell, if it was Isur, you have to resmell it. Anything that you smell, anything that you smell, even if it's not about it smells good. He has to make the bracha that's proper for it. Imu min eitz by the atze Bisomim, min eisev by the izbe Bisomim, v'en lo eitz v'lo eisev kagoyin amor musk shekoyim pizum yivarech min Bisomim. Whatever the bracha is, atze Bisomim, izbe Bisomim, min Bisomim. You have to make the right bracha. V'no goyim l'varech matzah Shabbos by the min Bisomim akol aminim. Shoyel lefa shayil. The minig of the welt is that they always make vitamin psamim. Because the welt is not baki bebrachas. The Alter Rebbe disagrees with the minig. He says, "Mekol makim Toiv la'niach chatichas moir b'toich minei reiches shemevorchem alein b'odim min psamim kedei shevorch bichas moire min psamim kehilchasa. That the proper thing would be to put in something which is 100% b'odim min psamim in order to be able to make the b'odim min psamim kehilchasa. Because really the Alter Rebbe sort of doesn't like the minig. What kind of minig is this? The Chazal say that there's certain brachas. There was once someone over here a few months ago that was saying, well, it's not Lubavitch and minig to make b'odim min psamim, izbib psamim, atzib psamim.
When's this? During the Shabbos?
So what's it called? Came when you were giving him psamim, learner. Pinchas learner. It's not Chabad minig. It's not true. It's not Chabad minig. Adarabah.
Shulchan Aruch, you have to be ma'abed with the brothers.
Right. Adarabah. The Alter Rebbe brings here that there's a minig olam that Matzah Shabbos they make only b'odim min psamim. Alter Rebbe says no. Well, you're supposed to make the right bracha. Atzib psamim, mizvib psamim, minig psamim, whatever it is. And if you want to keep the minig of the vel to make b'odim min psamim, so then you should put a chatichas moir, put a piece of 100% b'odim min psamim musk. You should put it into your psamim box, and then you can make b'odim min psamim l'kal chosa, because it's all...
Pizum is musk? Pizum?
Pizum is musk, yeah. Pizum is a word in Yiddish, but it's musk.
So some that we smell is mamish is true psamim.
Oh, so...
That's why he says chatichas. So that it's nicker.
Could be, that's a good word.
Because I was thinking, like, what would a little bit of chaticha be? You should go basa roiv. But we both the roiv is a suffix. This chaticha is real. I mean, I guess he's talking about where there's a suffix. Because if it's not a suffix, what does more do you any better than pieces of?
No, because it's mixed together. When you mix the brother, you can't separate them.
Right, but what is it mixed with? What's the more mixed with?
Whatever, it's izbei. It's mixed with izbei something, but it's mixed together.
Right, so
because you have no choice. You have to make now. But if I took now,
why would that make it a brave minute? Because you go by the roiv. It's a little piece.
There's no ikra.
Oh, so then I agree with you. That's a nice diuk. Maybe that's why it says chatichas moir. That it has to be a chaticha roilus kabit. You put in a piece of moir, and then you have a little bit.
The ikr.
Right. Right.
Something like a Saint Shako on any
Right.
food that you eat.
Right. Exactly. But it's interesting when we were learning the halachas the other day. It's very interesting because according to the Shulchan Aruch, when you smell cloves, you're supposed to make a shenos arech b'peiros. The Alter Rebbe holds that cloves, because it's a spice, it's a suffix, it's arech b'peiros, or atzeb psamim. Because it's a suffix, you're supposed to make, like every suffix, when you have a suffix, you're supposed to make shahakol, and by fragrance, you're supposed to make b'odim min psamim. The Alter Rebbe paskins that on cinnamon and cloves, because it's a spice. So on the one hand, you eat it, but you don't really eat it. No one takes a spoonful of cinnamon and then a spoonful of cloves and puts it in his mouth.
It's a tablet.
Right. The Alter Rebbe says all tvolin is a suffix if it's whatever, b'odim minei, b'odim atze or izbe, whatever, or re'echte b'peiros. And if it's a suffix, you make b'odim min psamim. So according to the Alter Rebbe, anyone that uses cloves and cinnamon is doing the right thing. It's fine. Because anyway, that's what you're supposed to do. Because we don't know what the bracha is supposed to make. B'odim min psamim. So it's interesting. According to the Alter Rebbe, today that most people use cloves, it's not a problem. But emes, according to those that go with the Shulchan Aruch says that cloves is re'echte b'peiros. So why is the velt, almost everyone uses cloves for psalm. No, that's what I think. Looks like.
Use cinnamon.
Huh? Use cinnamon.
My father too.
Yeah? Use cinnamon?
That's no question I'd say cinnamon.
Okay.
What bracha do you make? Atzib psamim?
Cloves come from pears. Cloves come from a pear, from a tree.
Huh?
The cloves.
Cloves?
Yeah, cloves come from a tree.
Yeah. Pilpulum ketushim v'zambu kotush. Pilpul is pepper, like pepper. Zangbil is ginger. Huh?
Ginger.
Ginger. Im mevorchim l'matzah Shabbos. It's a question. Not only matzah Shabbos, it's a question of if it's considered a boisim or not. Sakim aleim psamim. Shemesimim anochim techen kan yayin. That the goyim put into kankane yayim bags of Bisomim in order to give a good smell to the wine, a good flavor. You're allowed to smell these Bisomim. There's no Isur, even though there's Yain Nesach in the bags of Bisomim. Because a person who smells it doesn't want to smell the wine, he wants to smell the boisim, the fragrance, so you're allowed to smell it. Nevertheless, Mitzvah Shabbos, you're not allowed to use it for Bisomim Havdala. Because it's mo'us to the Eibishter. Chol dvar mitzvah, mach masayayin ha'isr abelov, because the yayin of Yisr, which is in it. This is really
a big hapel. So if it's most labors, then why do you read it? Why can't you be meriach et b'chol?
There's the interesting din. There's a concept of this two
mitzvah.
Right. There's two dinim. There's a keriveh. There's a mitzvah of a keriveh no lepechasecho. So we say that there's certain korbanos that there's no mum. It's 100% kosher for the mizbeach, but still also to bring. Why? Because mitzvah is a krivei, but you have to bring no meshubach. You have to bring, like this week's pasha. It has to be geschmack, a good oil. You have to give the best to the Eibishter. The best you have to give to the Eibishter. So you could say, I gave like Kayin. No, you say you have to give the nicest to the Eibishter. It's interesting. The Rashba says in the Tshuva.
So why?
Same thing here. The Rashba says in the Tshuva.
Any bracha you make on should also be nice to the Eibishter.
Right.
That's not only Motzei Shabbos. It's mashrin that you can make a bracha, just not on Motzei Shabbos.
Oh, you hit on a good. You hit on a nerve. You hit on a nerve. This is a machlokes between a shach and the taz. Every bracha that learns smicha ends up learning this shach. It's like a funny thing. It's stuck somewhere in Siman. I think Kuf Vav in Yoda Day. Ask Moshe. Moshe learned smicha. It's like a funny. It's like and they're arguing. It's like the shach and the taz and the kudas hakesef and the back and forth. But anyway, one opinion holds like you, which is that I don't remember if it was the shach or the taz. One of them hold that when we say here, when the Rashba said, it's not just, it's always. It's not only Motzei Shabbos. It's always. It's not only Motzei Shabbos. Again, what was Yishayla?
No, like you say, it's always because it's if it's not niskala with Eibishter, why would anyone want to do it anytime?
Right.
Eibishter hates it. If you want to
one
say
of the,
it's just Yain Nesach, I mean, they're not doing real Yain Nesach, because it would be real Yain Nesach. You don't get any unknown from it. Nor of us, it's
no.
Stam Yenam.
Stam Yenam, yeah.
Not Yain Nesach, Stam Yenam. So over here we're saying you shouldn't use it for Bisomim. But why would it be most like a voice? Just Stam Yenam. Eibishter loves every bria.
There's things that are also.
But it's not also. It's just also for us. But they're not being manasech for Avodah with it. What's the big deal? They're using it to flavor stuff. They're using it for good reasons. They're not giving it to the Geshkes.
I hear you, Kasha. That I don't know.
I don't even understand what the Isser is.
Okay, that's a separate Kasha.
But the first Kasha is even involved that it is something that David doesn't like. You can ask a Shiloh, why would anyone want to do it anytime? Get David upset. I mean, we love David. We want God to be happy with us.
I think one of the two shittas, the Shach or the Taz, says that we're dealing with Motzei Shabbos, that the Tshuva that Razor is about Motzei Shabbos. But if it's true, it's always that way. Sivov. Yesh Emrim Shemitzah Levarim Motzei Shabbos Al Hadas Shel Mitzvah. There are those that say that it's a mitzvah to make a bracha Motzei Shabbos Al Hadas. Shel Nasa Mitzvah Achas Yesh Lasas Mitzvah Acheres. Because we already used one time a mitzvah, we use it with the lulav. We should do a second time mitzvah with it. Vav Bishu Yovesh Veinechenediv Kolkach. Even though if it's dry and it doesn't smell so much, as long as he's smelling a little bit, it's good. V'yeshem, another opinion says better use other Bisomim. That there's more reich in there.
Sure.
Juicy, it's good. That's
the bigger hither.
Right, because it's
now it
dicker.
should be geschmack.
Jain balaktsas reich tsas. Begin nu met de selu. That's our minig.
My Mekutin has a lulav leaf.
A lulav or a dasim?
Hadas.
A dasim. He puts it into a box.
Yeah, he won't Shabbos.
I also put it in my Bisomim box because the Alter Rebbe says it's better to add to it. But
Me too.
but why not? I could take a little bit off. I put it into my Bisomim box.
But I mean, l'chayra, you can use last year's esrog and lulav too.
Esrog too.
Mishnah says.
Oh, lulav
sukkah.
doesn't smell.
It's sukkah. No, I'm saying it's sukkah. I'm saying it's for the mitzvah of dalaminim. You can use last year's minim. It's not limhuder. So, what's the have a minute to think that something that's just because you used a min one for a mitzvah, you should use that now. That's maybe if everything is equal. But if everything isn't equal, the fact that it's old means that it doesn't smell as good. So why would I think that just because it doesn't, even though it doesn't smell as good,
I should still use
it for a mitzvah? Why should you do that? What? That's not the criterion for the mitzvah. Mitzvahs that should
Right.
bring you smell, bring back your neshama, give you. If you're going to use a shvach hazach, it's going to bring back a shvach
Right.
hergish.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good kasha. The emes is like this. The emes is a good kasha because there's other reasons that that is brought, and it could be that's they're mainly relying on the Alter Rebbe doesn't bring. It's interesting. The Alter Rebbe doesn't bring the other reasons. The Ramah says, the Beis Yosef says, "Bala Kabbalah Oimnush Yesod beHadas Lavarach L'Matzah B'Shabbos," and he brings a pasuk, "Tachas Asirpa Dial Hadas." And they call Shema Shabbos Mechalala. It's an Haftarah that we say when there's a fast day.
Right.
So from the pasuk we see that connected to Shmini Shabbos is the Hadas, and that's an Haftarah. No, the Alter Rebbe doesn't bring it. I'm telling you, it's interesting. And the Ramah also says that in the Zohar Pashas Vayakel it says to use Hadasim. And it's interesting. For example, the Chidor's grandfather has a whole thing. He says that according to the Arizal, you should use Dafka Ahadas. And he says why? A few reasons. One is and there's Indian, and he says because Das is kosher when it has Mishaloshim. And the Shabbos we have a Neshama Yeseda. Nefesh Ruach Neshama. So Keneged Nefesh Ruach Neshama, which is a Mishulish, so you should use a Das, which is Mishulish. There's a lot of reasons of Kabbalah.
That was the reason my Mekutin told me.
Oh yeah? That's the reason you couldn't tell me?
Yeah, Drew.
Huh?
Drew, Arizona,
Oh yeah? Nefesh Ruach Neshama. So that answers your shayla, could be. So those shittas that were bent on using Hadas, even if it's a little dry, because they had reasons of Kabbalah to use it. They had reasons of Kabbalah to use it. So therefore they wanted to use it even though it was a little dry. The Alter Rebbe, however, doesn't bring the reasons of Kabbalah. The Alter Rebbe ignored it. What's an afkamina between the reasons of Kabbalah and Apinigla? I'd say very simple afkamina. What's if I have fresh leaves from Hadasim, right? Today you could buy Hadasim in the flower store. In a lot of places they sell Erev Shabbos fresh Hadasim. So what's if I can buy fresh Hadasim? Should I prefer to use those? Dafke. So I would say it depends. If you say that there's a special thing in the neshama, nefesh ruach neshama, whatever reason, api kabbalah, so for sure you're supposed to use fresh hadasim, right? But if you say the reason of the Alter Rebbe, which is that since you already did one mitzvah, do with it a second mitzvah, that's not relevant to these hadasim. If I go Friday and I buy these hadasim in the flower store, I never did a mitzvah with it. So that's the nafkamina between the reasons of Kabbalah and the Alter Rebbe's reasons. So if you say the Alter Rebbe's reason, it has to be dafka, the old ones that you already use, because if it's not the old one, what's and maybe a second nafkamina would be esrik. Say you have an esrik that's still fresh. Do you prefer to use the esrik? So maybe according to the Alter Rebbe, yeah. Because the esrik, you have an esrik, you already did a mitzvah with it.
But isn't there a shot, like we used to in Yeshiva, we used to put the Bisomim in the esrog. Is there a shala on the bracha?
Why should there be a shala?
Because you should be saying
no, because it's mixed in now and it's stuck in, so you can't separate the smell. See, it's like a shahakal because it's all mixed in. It's like a meirim so because it's mixed in. Okay, so what is the Alter Rebbe saying? You should put the hadas with the Bisomim. Shemavorchem lebenim in Bisomim. Oy boy the atzib Bisomim. Whatever you're using. Mini Bisomim, atzib Bisomim, whatever it is. Put it in the box. V'yariach b'shneim. To make a bracha on both. V'yasa k'divrei HaKohen, he'll do like everyone. Okay, so that's what the Alter Rebbe's pshat is. So again, so there's a machlokes here if you should prefer to use a hadas. It sounds like the Alter Rebbe holds that if it was a fresh hadas, in other words, say it's 1 week right after Sukkot, everyone agrees that it's preferable to use dafka hadas. The machlokes is now that it got dried out. What should I do now? So the emphasis, there's a svara to say the ikid is to smell a good smell. What's going to help you is it's dry. So that's the machlokes. Some say no, I prefer the hadas. Others says I prefer fresh smell. Alter Rebbe says, you know what? Do like everyone. May have the fresh smell and mix into it a little bit of the hadas. I asked my brother to ask. He davens the name of Huvim Shul. He should ask. What's it called? Chaim Baruch Halberstam. What was the Bisomim that the Rebbe used? So he has the Rebbe's Bisomim. So I want to know what's in there. So he doesn't know. He says, tell your brother to send me a text, and I'll take a picture. Oh, he said, I have his number. I forgot to whatever. So before the Shia, I was going to send him a text, but so it's still tzarech iyun. Maybe by next week, if I get around to it, I'll. I don't understand. It's such a simple shaila. That was there hadasim or not? He wasn't. He was the guy that was taking care of this stuff. And he took it home. He took the Rebbe's Bisomim home. So I'd like to know, did the Rebbe actually have in his Bisomim box?
Even if it's not in bed, maybe it was taken out.
This Nishkanai is saying, maybe someone collected it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
if it is there, is yet.
Is every story that he tells over as being people nismach on whatever he says?
I don't know. I don't never heard any. His brother walks around saying stories, and I hear people are.
It's there's two people.
Yeah.
The one with the flag is.
No, that's not him. No. He's not with a flag at all.
Oh, he's okay. He's all right.
Yeah. He's not hanging on the pole like a flag. He's
okay.
Yeah. He's okay.
Uh-huh.
He's okay. No pins and no flags. I wouldn't ask questions if it was pins and flags.
Unless you're stealing pins and needles.
Yeah, exactly. Since I'm not yet standing there, so I'm interested. I'd like to know what was the Rebbe used. Okay, so to summarize, so we have a machlokes. The Alter Rebbe says better to do both. But as I said, it's interesting that there is that api nigla. The only reason there is because you already did one mitzvah, do another mitzvah. But api kabbalah, there's all kinds of reasons why you should dafka use hadas. And the difference between the nigla and the kabbalah is, I think, two differences, maybe three different. One is if I have old ones that don't smell so well. So api nigla, it's more mistaber to say for who needs it. But api kabbalah, no, but because there's an Indian. Also, if I have fresh ones from this Friday, but I never used it for a mitzvah. So api the niglatam, what's so special about it? About api kabbalah, no, because nefesh ruch neshama, whatever reason. A third nafkamina would be if I have a fresh esrog. According to Kabbalah, what is the esrog going to do me? That's not nefesh ruch neshama. But api nigla, which the reason is because I already did one mitzvah, do another mitzvah, so esrog is also good. Because I already did one mitzvah, should do another mitzvah. It's interesting to point out that the Alter Rebbe does not bring the reasons api kabbalah, only api nigla. Because we spoke about it last night also. When in the Siddur, the Alter Rebbe brings api kabbalah, you should have fish by the Suda Shabbos. Because the whole thing, the neshamas of tzaddikim with fish.
In the Siddur.
But in the Shulchan Aruch, he says there's no reason. What's so special about fish?
Yeah.
What's so special about fish? So he says, like we spoke about it last night, if the Goyim are hiking up the prices on Friday for the Jews, because they know the Jews want to buy dafka fish, Alter Rebbe says it's incumbent on the that the manhigim and the tzibur have to make a takona that no Jew is going to buy fish for a few weeks until they bring the price down. Ein shum tam, the Alter Rebbe says. So really, the Rebbe Zayda wrote in the Sefer that the Alter Rebbe wrote a Shulchan Aruch Api Nigla. So therefore, he doesn't bring things that Api Nistan in the Shulchan Aruch. In his Siddur, he brings things that Api Nistan.
What about the Hadas?
That's why he brings only the Nigla Tam here in the Hadas. He doesn't say one word about Nefesh Ruach Neshama, the Zoyer and Pashas Vayakel, Tachas Asirpa de Al Hadas. It's funny. How come the Alter Rebbe doesn't bring any of the reasons Api Kabbalah? And he for sure knew about them.
Why would it be when it's Yavish? Why even when it's Yavish then?
Why would it be even Yavish?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe because of that. Maybe that proves.
But he doesn't bring it.
No,
he doesn't say it. He doesn't say it. It's interesting. He doesn't
Does
say
he
it.
ever bring down Bali Kabbalah?
Yeah, sometimes little, very little. In Shulchan Aruch, very little. We had it like in film. We had a little bit that he brought. Sorry, what were we saying?
What is the Chabad attitude to the apparent, I underline the word apparent, contradictions between Islam and Nigla?
Right. So that was an interesting that in the Shulchan Aruch, whenever there was a contradiction, he went with the Nigla, not with the Nistar. And when he wrote his Siddur, whenever there was a contradiction between Nigla and Nistar, he went with the Nistar.
So what does that indicate?
So what that indicates is everyone has their own theory, but the Lubavitcher Rebbe's great-grandfather wrote that his thing was that because the Shulchan Aruch he wrote for Klal Yisrael, he didn't want to impose. He felt that the Baal Nigla were right. Whenever there's a machlokes Baal Nigla Baal Nister, you follow the Baal Nigla. But for his Chassidim, he wanted them to follow the Baal Nister. That's why in the Shulchan Aruch he wrote he always went on the side of the Baal Nigla, and in the Siddur he always went on the side of the Baal Nister. There's other people have other theories on this. But I'm telling you what the Rebbe Zayda wrote. The fact is that in the Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe always goes on the side of the Baal Nigla. When there's a contradiction, he always goes paskins with the Baal Nigla. But in the Siddur, when there is, he tries to reconcile a lot of times. But when he doesn't find a way to reconcile them, he will always, in the Shulchan Aruch, come down to the Baal Nigla. And in the Siddur, he'll always come down on the side of the Baal Nister. That's the fact.
I went through this whole sugya in depth.
Yeah.
And I just came to the conclusion that there is no stira.
Oh, there is no stira.
It's just that they have to understand each one, and it's on the there.
Okay.
What happens when they do disagree?
But sometimes, yeah, it seems like
In the Gemara even, sometimes things appear to disagree, but then they show that it's not a disagreement.
But what about when they don't show it? How do you know that they don't disagree?
Well, if you learn it the Omer,
okay, so I guess you have to do a lot of work to...
Like many of the things in the Zohar that appear to contradict the Nigla, it's only whom wrote. Like this Midot Chasidut. But it's not applying halakha to everybody. And other things, it's just you have to understand what even if it's talking about things that are down on earth, you have to understand what they're talking about, a certain kocha b'mayaskina, so to speak.
Anyone would like to review tonight's shir? Please, I have to type it up.
Definitely. This is good.
Okay.
You have to get it with they don't have a million.
The Eibishter.
You should have a lot of that.
Yeah.
I'm saying here.
It says that the Gemara says that the Eibishter, every one of the Aseres Adibris, the Neshamas went flying away. And then the Gemara says, every one of the Aseres Adibris, Chol Dibra Dibra, the Eibishter said that the Bisomim went out and filled up the whole world. So there's a beautiful verse from the Mashah. The Mashah says, why? One Gemara explains the other Gemara. Because Bisomim is Meishiv es HaNefesh, and I'll call Dibra 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 Parach and Nishmasan. So therefore, the Eibishter also made, I'll call Dibra Dibra, the Shvi Bisomim that fill the world. That'll be Meishiv es HaNefesh.
Nice.